My name is Stan Golanka, and I am interviewing Jim Zulakis, the webmaster, among other things, at Trevor Day School. How are you doing, Jim?
I'm fine.
All right.
Happy to help.
How did you become a webmaster?
Evolution. In 1992, a parent approached the school and said, "I'll provide a website." And I said, "A what?" And she said, "This is a site on the internet, on the World Wide Web, and as long as you, and I'll give you a couple hours of training, as long as you're willing to manage it for the school, go ahead." And she gave me this tool called Hot Dog. It was from an Australian developer. It was all code. I built a very simple site, and at the time the head of our technology department said that I said, "We have a website," and he said, "Well, it's going to be the CB radio of the 90s. It'll go away as soon as it came." For the school, but to create streams of communications from all the representative people in the school, so that it's not just coming from me. I'm not making this stuff up. The most difficult part was in launching our intranet, underestimating people's ability to enter in 2 passwords as opposed to 1. It was a disaster. That was a real disaster. Well, I've used Front Page for the intranet because for the external site, when I was actually designing the whole thing, I used Dreamweaver, which I see as pretty much a state-of-the-art development tool. Design tools. It's very difficult for a school administrator or webmaster to stay current with all of the technology, Flash in particular. Anybody who's learned Flash, which is also, you know, a prevailing technology for web, knows that even reading all the tutorials and manuals on it, you really have to live it and learn it from people who are also living it. So when you get a pool of people who are experts in Flash, it can't be better, you know, and it's very difficult to develop that in schools because they can't afford it. So outsourcing our site is probably the most was a great move, because we have a very sophisticated site. It will keep up with the prevailing technology. Yeah, my background is as a fine artist and in fact a printmaker, which has a lot of graphic orientation, and so there's a lot of training in composition and color interaction, and also then, you know, that develops into an interest in interface design. You know, it's very similar to, you know, where does the eye land first is a concern for a printmaker or a painter as it is for a web designer. The graphic the resolution for screen graphics is 72 dots per inch. Then you quickly learn how to reduce images to fit that protocol, and once that's done, everything you do kind of you picture in that box above the fold, understanding you don't want to make pages that are too long that people have to scroll. So we always target a 1024 screen at this point. Well, probably in the next year I would guess that 1440 is going to be the standard, but to create and usability studies dictate that if you can use the whole screen width, you should. And so what you try to do is develop sites that breathe, that can expand to the screen size they're used in, and not only for that widescreen size, but also for you know, smaller devices if you can. It happens that our technology for our website is going to be including optional interfaces for small handheld devices. We haven't explored that yet. Have a link on all of our pages called A Day at Trevor, which we hope will attract and inform students more specifically. What's a student's day like? you know, from a student's voice. So we have one for lower school kids. Probably parents would be reading that, but one for middle school and one for high school, and those are cool because they'll kind of give a student's voice there, and we really, at the upper grades, obviously we want the students to be looking at the site more than the parents, because the students want to feel like they belong somewhere, and you know, we want to convey and make it clear to them what it would be like to be here.
What were you doing?
I love it. I mean, actually, there have been some surveys done of best jobs in the world, and webmaster seems to be usually in the top 3.
Okay.
You know, it's creative. It's a people job. You see what you do. You know, it's not intangible. You know, it's there for a lot of people to see. I hate the term webmaster. I think that's antiquated. I prefer to see it as web administrator, because especially the way we have ours set up, we want there to be a community that's feeding the site, not just that one masterful person. And in fact, you know, when we branch off and split the site off into the portal, there will be, as there is in our current portal, various people from the school updating content constantly to make it fresh.
This is the new portal.
That'll be the new portal that'll be layered on the existing external site. Yeah, well, first of all, someone who understands all the areas of the school and can have access to admissions in the head of school. Head of school has a lot to say about how the school is communicating. Often in development also usually takes a large part of it. But I would say a person who has those relationships, who can coordinate, who's good at coordinating information flow and streaming it in, and also who is very good graphically, who understands how to manipulate images, how to select images, how to enhance them, how to crop. And then finally, but there are times, even with this external site, that I've had to rely on some knowledge of code to make things look within the confines of what we're given as a template exactly the way we want them sometimes. But also someone who understands the importance of consistency and style. I think it's a bad choice to have a webmaster who loves to use every font in the world, because it's distracting. You know, you want to establish an identity, and it has to be someone who's really hip to making sure that the identity is consistent.
So, not to put words in your
ground up and coding it yourself. I mean, schools really can't afford to spend that much time. And having one person develop, as I say, you lose the ability to continually pull in new technology. It's just too big a job for one person to develop a site and to maintain the content. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Outsource, outsource, outsource is probably the best advice, except for managing that content and creating the content. So yes, creativity is key. And a very smart thing to do to hire someone who's creative and who can write is another big one. Writing is important.
questions.
I would say that a person needs to read up on usability before going into this. Some companies over-design websites. We're real students of usability and trying to make sure that what we offer people is not confusing. Also, test things before they're public is a very important. But other than that, I think we covered all the bases.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.